What's going out there? It's October 5th. I'm Frank Gersh, the Wall Street Unplugged podcast, where I break the headlines and tell you what's really moving these markets. So it's Creech Day Wednesday, and Creech has his Beetlejuice shirt on, which I love because it's a little bit black and white checkered. If anyone's a Beetlejuice fan, which I am a huge Beetlejuice fan, and Michael Keaton fan, which we just named a bunch of movies.
Yeah,
by Keaton. Him. So what's going on, man? How's everything?
Hey, happy Wednesday. It's the best day of the week. Happy fall day. It was cold this morning, which is why I'm in long sleeve shirts. Arizona has ruined me. I don't want any emails, Daniel@CurseyResearch.com, about what a wimp I am. If you're in real winter, good for you. However,
it's like 65 out.
Yeah, but it was 50 when I came to work this morning.
Oh, my God. For like
Arizona,
an hour
one of the best states in the country, ruined me. I'm a wimp when it comes to weather, I admit. Hey, I love this time of year. It's fall. It's beautiful. It's amazing. So, but it's long sleeve weather, long pants weather, good golfing weather. Frank.
It is weird in Florida, too, because in Florida, like 60 degrees, that's where you see the jackets, and they even wear earmuffs and stuff, and I'm wearing shorts.
Well, hell yeah, you got all this humidity down here. People think of humidity and the heat, which makes it tough and all that. They forget about it. It's 24/7. It's in the winter. That makes it more cold, bone chilling.
I'm wearing shorts unless it's below 50, basically. 55, I'd say. So, all the time.
No way.
Anyway, but, okay, a lot going on today. We have the OPEC, which we'll get to in a minute, and also news on your favorite person in the world.
Which one?
Elon Musk with Twitter.
Elon Musk. Hey, I'm starting to become a fan of his.
You are not a fan of his overall, though, right?
I'm not overall, but I'm coming. I'm coming around on him being a fan of Elon Musk only because he's upsetting the latest. Oh my goodness, I hate to even talk about CNBC sometimes because whoever they just had on there. Why is Elon Musk winning me over? He's winning me over because people are now attacking him for buying Twitter, and they are saying that now Twitter is going to be compromised or corrupt or used to hurt democracy, when you literally have Twitter that kicked off a sitting president from a social media platform. But yet Elon Musk is going to hurt democracy by this. The idea that they have to come up with arguments like this that are so ridiculous that if anybody even takes them remotely serious, it just shows you how dumb the world is. To lack of a better
politics right
sense.
now and the next month's going to get really crazy. I mean, I saw the Italian lady, and I didn't know anything about her, who just became, who just won prime minister, whatever. And I saw her speech, and she was just like about family, and she was conservative. She's not like a diehard ultra conservative. She was just like, family, and we're not just a number here, and we can't let people take away our families and stuff. And then I saw CBS put on something that was comparing it to Mussolini. Dude, I was like, what? Wait a minute. What did I miss here? And you don't know, because people just, they believe what they watch, and a lot of people don't have time to do research sometimes on both sides. I mean, we see lies on both sides, which is crazy. But, the whole Elon Musk thing and, is it going to be good or bad in terms of free speech and whatever? I think what we're seeing is really from the left is, and this is why the metaverse is such a big deal, and I think so many people don't understand it, is it gives you right to your own digital property, and people are sick and tired, especially the younger generation who was all digital and grew up in this digital world, even millennials who are 40 and under now. They hate the fact that, Facebook, you're on a platform, they're stealing all of your data, everything you do, and selling it to people that you really don't even know and making a fortune off it. This is you. They're making a fortune off of you, off your data. And this whole thing about disrupting that market, it's the reason why the companies who have, who basically own the data, all the big tech companies, are the biggest investors in the metaverse. And we're talking about not, hey, we're going to invest $100 million here, and they're investing tens of billions of dollars. It's $170 billion that's flowed into this. But even with Musk taking over this platform from a political angle and saying, oh, it's going to be corrupt. It's, free speech is free speech. I mean, you're not going to go in there and say you want to, kill children and stuff like that. But free speech is free speech. And that means whether you're conservative or a Democrat or whatever, I mean, someone has the right to burn the American flag in front of you and say, I hate the United States and it's the worst country in the world right in front of you. That's what free speech is. That's what our country was founded on. That's it. So, the fact that you're afraid that's going to go more to a free speech platform is just really disturbing to me. I just don't get that. More importantly, I don't understand why Elon Musk is actually purchasing Twitter here. And that's a bigger story. And why purchase it at 54? If you look at that price, and you take, where the first announcement was, and then he said he's not going to buy him back and forth and all the bullshit. He's buying it at an exceptional premium to where if he removed his bid, this stock's going 25, probably to 20, 25. Only if you take the comparables of all the social media companies and Facebook and stuff like that, of how far these companies come down, the advertising platforms, that have cloud and stuff like that. it should be down around 60%, and it's at levels trading that's incredible. And he's decided to do this deal at 54, which is surprising to me. I don't plan to get him. I love him because he's so unpredictable, and I love that everybody hates that he's so unpredictable. I mean, the fact that SpaceX, affordable, getting just going to space, the fact that he was able to build Tesla with all the politics. You're not allowed to open up any shops, any dealerships, and again, what he did to accomplish that and where it is right now. Again, the valuation's crazy, but just how he was able to do that is incredible. It's really incredible of what he built. I think we're going to see that in future generations of, they're going to be talking about him in textbooks, but he is out there. And this, I don't understand that. Maybe you could explain to me, why buy it when you could actually pull your bid? They fine you pay the fine or whatever. You said, I was going to buy it. I don't believe in the bots. I don't even know the bot story. I don't know whistleblower stories, bullshit. But you basically say, okay, it's $1 billion if I come out of it, right? It's $1 billion. And then, because right now you're overpaying for Twitter by about $10 billion. And you can come back next year and then purchase it. And that would be perfectly fine. But I don't understand why would you purchase at this price. But the fact is, I guess it's big news, and they love him because he gets a lot of clicks and he's all over every station, no matter what the market's doing, which is giving back a lot of the gains today. But it's just, one of the top stories. My question is, why purchase it at this price? I mean, you could purchase it, but you can get it for so much lower if you wanted to.
I don't know what he's thinking. Trying to get in that guy's head is not something I'm interested in. He's contractually bind. I mean, that's why he's buying it here, is because that's what he said he was going to do. What value he sees there, what his plans are. The fun thing is, what we need here at Curzio Research, Frank, is a countdown clock, a countdown to when Trump gets back on Twitter. Man, I miss those days. I'm not even a big social media guy, but I used to love just reading.
Everybody misses those days, especially CNNs and MSNBCs. And that was his biggest downfall, was just stupid tweets. I mean,
no, it wasn't. Not at all.
No.
I loved
it is
seeing,
to credibility.
I would drink coffee in the morning and be like, I wonder what this crazy guy tweeted at 4 a.m. this morning. Yeah. And I would just laugh. And
entertainment is fine. But
so countdown clock, Curzio Research countdown clock when Trump gets back on Twitter.
He's building his new platform, right? And that platform.
Yep. I saw they bought some time to make the deal. Who knows if that's going to take off?
They're losing some of their buyers, which is nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the whole entire industry, people coming out of SPACs right now, and the pipe deals aren't closing. So I think 30% of the pipes haven't closed on the deal. But now the whole idea was to get him on a platform to speak. And now, he's banned from an ex-president banned from speaking, which is crazy. I mean, you could say, again, it's a free. I don't care how much you hate Donald Trump. How can he be banned, right? I mean, give me a break. And you have Elon Musk saying that once we get Twitter up and running, Trump could come on. But Trump's saying he's not going to go back on Twitter no matter what because of this, new platform that he's creating. But I don't even know if that's going to get off the ground. But it will be interesting to see how this is. But again, he committed to this, and then he talked about the bots and everything. And I'm sure you can get out of it if he wanted to, and it'll cost a pretty penny. But it's going to cost a lot less than if you just than buying it at $54, because it's not worth $54. Not in this market. And no matter what you do with it, I mean, maybe, years from now it can, but right now you could really pull that bid and save probably, 80% of your wealth by doing this. And, we'll see what happens. I'm not worried about it being a free speech platform or it's not a free. We've seen the suppression throughout the election. We've seen the suppression throughout COVID when, people have an agenda when it comes to these social media companies. They don't let you post whatever you want. You were posting facts and getting thrown off if you didn't support their agenda, which is insane. I think everybody realizes that now, all right? Especially through COVID, where, again, politics and money trumps the health of your children. We know that now. That's how much these guys want power, right? It's more than that. And again, it's on both sides. It's crazy. But this whole story about Twitter and just the background is the back and forth. We're talking about politics because of it, which brings up emotions, which brings up more clicks. Overall, it's really not a big deal in terms of investing. I mean, for me, I would short the stock here because there's a good shot he could pull out. And if you're wrong, you lose a little bit of money because, what's your downside? A couple of dollars here. So it's at 51. The deal's supposed to close at 54. I think there's probably a good 40% chance that this deal doesn't go through. If it doesn't, it's going to 25. So I don't know. I mean, if you're going to play Twitter that way, I wouldn't be buying it at 52 to arbitrage to get 54, especially when, this guy just, wakes up one day and says something and who knows. And just, his Twitter feed is hilarious because he says things that nobody knows what they mean. Everybody tries to interpret them all the time, right? So, I think you'll see the price fluctuate until this closes. It was just a surprise that he came out and said, well, I'm going to buy it at that price, which is, again, he could do it for a lot lower and if he wanted to.
Well, to go down the rabbit trail, I believe the hearing or the trial was to start the 16th or 17th of this month. And there must be something. I mean, this guy's unpredictable, but he's a great marketer. He obviously did an about change to buy this now before going through with lawyers and going to trial and all that. So the low-hanging fruit there is, well, he must not want something to come out or whatever. Why go through this deal? Anyway, this is good entertainment. This is our version of sports, Tom Brady getting divorced. This is just the market's soap opera going back and forth.
Who's better than Tom Brady? So I think every man wants to be Tom Brady. I mean, not only do you have, the hottest girl in the world that you're with, and he's the perfect person, right? I mean, you can't, it's not even you see like a lot of stuff come out bad about him or whatever. Now he's doing all kinds of commercials. He's kind of to himself, but the media doesn't press him or nothing. They don't do what they do to other athletes and in other sports where, they're pressing him all the time. They're very like gentle with him. And then now he's going to get divorced and he's going to probably get paid a fortune since his wife makes a lot more money than him. I mean, man, it doesn't get better than being Tom Brady, I don't think. I really don't.
Well, now he's going through a divorce anyway.
But anyway, the guy is frustrated. He's pissed, and you can see it in his game, and all that stuff's taking its toll, and we'll see what happens. But obviously, I think what happened really, Daniel, is he got the chance to go home and knew that, okay, I got to spend the entire day now with everybody. And he was probably like, holy shit, there's no way that this is happening. And said, I don't care, I'll retire, and I don't care if I get concussions or whatever. And I don't care if we lose, because Tampa Bay's not really that good of a team this year. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. But it's interesting. It's interesting that he went back after saying that he was retiring, and I feel bad for the guy who bought his last football touchdown. I think didn't they pay like $700,000 for the last touchdown he threw right before he said he was going to retire, and then he came out of retirement.
Yeah,
that sucks for that guy, huh?
Yeah,
it's like that. It's like Aaron Judge's baseball. It was funny when he hit.
I heard about this. Yeah, there's a
6-second home run, and some guy caught it, but there was a guy about 6 seats over, and they're like, he fell. He didn't fall. The guy actually did something that was very smart. What he did as soon as that ball was coming, he jumped down from the fence, which I don't think is a far drop because he's perfectly okay. So if the ball came just like 10 feet, 5 feet lower, nobody would have been able to catch it, and it would have hit like, that part of the stadium and fell right down. He would have had the ball. Big deal. You get kicked out. I got the ball. It's worth millions of dollars, in the future. So he actually, as soon as that ball was hit, that was his plan. He's like, if it's coming and it looks like it's going to hit the wall right below where I am, like where they're seating the wall right below them, it's going to fall down. And he jumped down. He didn't get hurt. And the guy actually caught it. And, it was weird. The guy that caught the ball, it was like no fight or nothing. I thought people would be like punching each other for that ball and jumping all over. Like nobody. It seemed like he was like the only guy there and just caught it. He's like, yeah, I'm a millionaire. So hopefully he doesn't do something stupid like give it back to Aaron Judge, which is the stupidest thing you could do as an individual. I'm sorry, but Aaron Judge does not care about you. He doesn't give a crap about you. That's your family. You put your kids through college. You don't want a baseball bat and a couple tickets. Please use it to your advantage. Support your family, support maybe a future generation or whatever. I don't know if $2 million would be enough to do that, depending on your spending habits, but don't just give the ball back to them. These guys, he's worth like $100 million. Don't just give the ball back. It makes no sense at all. It makes no sense at all. People are going to be like, wow, you're such a nice guy. And then that's it. You're done. And you're going to get a signed baseball bat or whatever in a couple games, a front row seat, maybe sit in a dugout one day. No, take the money and support your family.
Take the money and run.
Jesus. Anyway.
I love it. We got, he just set a record for
he's got the
we got an amazing we're getting a lot of great feedback, so thank you, keep it coming, all the great subscribers and listeners. One guy made a note and said, hey, I know you're not a big sports fan. I'm a sports fan. I just don't care about a lot of sports. So he set a record, most home runs in the
American
season?
League record, all-time record for American League. So he
in a single season, because it was 62.
Yeah, it was 61. He hit 62. Babe Ruth hit 60. But everyone that's above him took steroids. So you had Mark McGwire that was above him. I think, where was he at? 70 or something? And then you had Barry Bonds. I think he's at 73 or whatever. But, these guys, it was during a steroid era.
Okay,
so,
gotcha.
You had second basemen. Who was it? Boone that was playing second base that hit like 4 home runs one year. And the year they took steroids, he hit like 54. It was like, nice. Okay, listen, it made the game more fun. People were watching. I remember Sammy Sosa and all that stuff. Sammy Sosa hit a lot of home runs as well. But all of that is kind of tainted. This isn't a tainted record. This, to me, is the record. And that record for home runs may be one of the greatest records in sports.
Nice.
Arguably, you could say that. And you guys know I'm
just because I'm not interested doesn't mean I don't appreciate it. I just
you could say, Joe DiMaggio's streak was at 56 games in hit streak. But there's some streaks, like Tiger Woods' streak is amazing, too. How many cuts did he make? You probably know that.
No, I don't know.
It was insane. What was it,
he basically won for like a decade.
You know how hard that is? No, cuts. Like, he made the cut. Like, 90 or 100? You know how hard that's like not having a bad round. But
Frank, when you're in first every time, it's easy to make cuts.
Oh, man, that's hard. Play golf. Every guy, Spieth, Mickelson, you all have a bad round. To be that consistent. Anyway, I want to get to some really big news, which you, big follower of oil. I'm a big follower of oil. I, visited almost every major shale area with my buddy Cactus and hopped on rigs and had so much fun and really learned about the shale industry. The one thing I learned is, that's when I started learning, Daniel, about political agendas and the bullshit behind everything. And you got to be careful what you read is 2010-11 when I started going to the shale areas. And that movie came out on HBO that showed, you lit the faucet on fire or whatever and how, it's killing. I really thought I was going to go there as animals dying and I was going to be in earthquakes and shit because that's what you read, which is all 100% bullshit, right? So, you can't drill thousands of feet into the ground, right? And the chemicals are better now, much, much better, which is good. They clean that up. But it's in order for it to impact water, fresh water, I mean, you have to have these chemicals magically travel upward through rock, right? And go all the way to fresh water, which is, a few hundred feet deep. So it's impossible. And then they have these tailings and these ponds and everything. And again, you could throw all this stuff in a truck and dump it in water. That's different. But fracking doesn't cause it. That's the person that causes it. So, and realize this technology and how amazing it was and did well with our subscribers. But now we're seeing a different oil, right? Where OPEC is deciding to just announce they're going to increase by 2 million barrels. And this is at a time where we have our current administration just depleting the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, the SPR. So just to put in perspective, guys, and I'll let you go here. I just want to put, bring everyone here. So the SPR, if you're not familiar, was set up in 1975. We had a massive short of gasoline where there's lines everywhere, and we were really reliant on OPEC back then, right? Because we didn't have shale technology where we're importing more than 50% of our oil. Now we import around 6%. And the only reason why we import that, it's 800,000 barrels. I mean, it turns out to be even if you go to the net, is because it's very refined, and that's the best oil through OPEC. So we no longer need OPEC, right, due to shale technology. But since oil prices in Russia and the whole war started, and we saw, stupid, ridiculous ESG policies, which forced drillers to cut back tremendously. Now we have this whole entire market where oil prices surged to $130 and went crazy, and to lower gasoline prices, which are averaging $5. They're about $3.25, $3.50 now. We have a Biden administration who's releasing, just taking out of the strategic oil reserves 1 million barrels a day. So that's where we are right now. They're taking 1 million. Now OPEC said, no way, F that. Oil prices are coming down because of that. And it's a big deal, Daniel, because if you're looking at the math behind it, I mean, that million it amounts to about 8.5% of our total production in the U.S., right? So 1 million barrels. So we produce, around 12 million barrels per day. That's 1 million, right? That's a very big increase. I mean, if you want to put in perspective, if you're looking at companies where, net margins for consumer staple companies are 6%. They used for energy companies over the past 5 years pre-COVID are 4%. I mean, that's how much. 8% is a really big deal. And you saw it it's impacting gasoline prices. So, now we're at this market where, holy cow, OPEC's deciding to cut. And what does that mean? What does that mean? What are your thoughts on it? And a lot of people have different opinions. It could affect oil prices. Oil prices are going to surge from here. What do you think?
There's so much going on around and within the energy spectrum that it's just fascinating to me. And the takeaway here is that I believe investors should prepare for higher prices or sustained higher prices than the previous years as the new normal. And maybe that's a period of a few years or longer. But if you look at a long-term chart, not a super long-term chart, but just go back to when, different administrations, since the T word is a swear word now, we won't say that. We'll just say that oil prices were substantially below $70, $80 a barrel for a few years. Now they're basically going to remain around that. The takeaway here is that they're going to be higher. So please have exposure to this industry. I understand. Listen, the big nervousness I have is I'm very bullish on a sector that if we go into we're already in a recession, if we go into a global real depression or recession, then we have to worry about oil. However, the politics behind it are what you really need to pay attention here. I believe OPEC is doing a Q&A right now as we're recording, Frank, so we don't know the exact numbers. The 2 million cut was a big headline. Goldman is already out saying that it's probably going to be around a 600,000 when you actually net because you may have to exempt Russia from it, et cetera, et cetera. They're already under their quotas. The big takeaway here, or another big takeaway, is that read between the lines. Biden flew over there asking them to cut it. The strategic release of petroleum, like you said, is down to, I think, 1984 levels. That's a fun headline to talk about. We're not increasing production here. You don't have to be a doctor or have any fun letters in front of or behind your name. You can be a simple Daniel Creech in the world and be smart enough to understand supply and demand. And when you have governments attacking an industry through pressure on drilling less, being quote unquote more green, and then the final thing that you can do is threaten for excessive tax or windfall tax profits that they're already doing overseas. Shell was just dragged, the Shell CEO was dragged in front of somebody over the pond in a committee hearing, just like they do here. And he was telling the industry to brace for higher taxes because that's what governments do. And this is just simply, there is no easier layup to tell investors to buy into into a sector when you have politicians going at each other and attacking the industry. It's wild. And then we haven't even talked about the pipelines blowing up. And I want to talk about that because who did it? Who benefits from it? Well, if the U.S. didn't do it, somebody who did it had to have great technology. Do you know this pipeline was around 200 feet? And I'm talking about the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines from the Russia to Germany, or not Russia, but Russia supplied gas to Germany. 200 feet down. I watched an interesting interview. Do you know the economic professor at Columbia University? You ever heard the name Jeffrey Sachs?
On an interview, and they started attacking him like crazy.
It was on Bloomberg. It was a couple days ago.
Oh, it was Bloomberg. I did see that interview, actually. I did see it, and he was just like, look, go ahead. Tell the story again.
Well, it was just interesting. He said, hey, he come out and said he thinks that the U.S. is behind the blow up. The Bloomberg commentators said, hey, and it's right for them to push back. You make an accusation or a big statement, it's okay to say, hey, back that up. And then he pointed to either radar or some detection that we were in the area, which, hell, everybody's in almost every area. But when you break down, okay, who's going to do this without asking permission from the world superpower? I guess is an easy question. I'm not saying I have all the answers. The answer to this is just energy prices are going to remain elevated for some time and have exposure to it. But it's fun to talk about who did it. Do you think Russia did it? That's out there. Why would Russia do it? Maybe to provoke and just have an excuse to escalate the war in Ukraine. I'm not saying that can't happen. I don't think the percentages are there, but that's an option.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I mean, I could try to speculate a little bit and use a little common sense. I would think Russia blowing up its biggest advantage over everyone, and the reason why that they haven't gotten hurt as much as everybody thought they would when you took them off the SWIFT system and all these sanctions and everything is because they're one of the largest energy producers in the world. And if you're looking at that pipeline that you talked about, Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2, they're both kind of like offline. I don't know, and leaks were happening or whatever. It's just a little weird, but that's the main conduit for bringing gas to Germany. So it supplies more than half of Germany's consumption. Why would you blow that up if you're Russia? I mean, if you're saying that would blow that up, that's kind of like China coming out and saying that they're going to blow up every one of its rare earth mines to spite everyone, since they control 95% or 90% of the high strength rare earth metals, the ones that really go into the everything, basically all technologies, cars and stuff like that. I mean, that's like China doing that and saying we're going to blow up all of our rare earth mines. And yeah, you screw the world, but you screw yourself a billion times more, right? Because that is a significant advantage. That's a massive advantage that you have that we need China for. We need China, right? I mean, we can get anyone to buy our stuff, right? Or anyone to make our stuff, rather, right? It'll cost a little bit more at other countries, but we need countries for certain things that we import. The rare earth metals, we need China, right? They have the monopoly on it, right? So would they blow up all the... So would Russia do this? To me, common sense is absolutely not. It doesn't make sense. I mean, they're showing clips of, administration saying that, no, we're going to take care of this. And it's weird that it happened. I think it's very dangerous that it happened. But the bottom line is now, you're really removing it, right? It's not like, okay, if what happens with Russia and Ukraine, right? One day they will say, okay, it's over. Hopefully short term, right? A lot of people dying. But when they do, now what? I mean, you're looking at these pipelines. I don't think people, like you said, how many feet? It was 200? It
was close to 200 feet. Yeah, depending on, because they
give... concrete weights 24 tons, right? I mean, this thing stretches out for 760 miles long. This doesn't happen like by accident. So, this happened on purpose. And who benefits the most from this? I think the U.S. benefits tremendously since we're one of the largest oil producers. I think OPEC benefits tremendously, right? So for Russia to do this, I just don't think it makes sense, since that's one of their biggest advantages. But I don't know, but I know it escalates it. And when you're looking from a stock perspective, investment perspective, which is what this podcast is about, oil has no place else to go but higher from here. I mean, you're looking at the strategic oil reserve where you're releasing, I mean, we're down at the 1984 lows. And just to be fair, every single presidency before the election releases oil reserves to bring prices down. You can go back. It goes even with Trump. Yes, he increased it, but right before you saw a little bit come out. You look at Obama, you look at Clinton, you go all the way back, right? But not like this, not this much before the election, right? So now it's 1 million barrels a day said in March. It's going to be for 6 months, and it's at its lowest level since 1984. What's going to happen when you reverse that? When you reverse that, I mean, as of now, you're looking at, you're taking a major producer offline. That's what you're doing. You're taking a major producer offline. Like that 1 million barrels is going away. Now you throw in OPEC with 2 million or whatever it's going to be outside the Russian news is 1 million, but they predicted like 1 million. It could be 2 million. They said 2 million, but like you said, outside the Russian sanctions, stuff like that might be a million. That's significant. I mean, that's a significant amount, right, that you're taking off the market now. And now what are you going to do? Because you still have crazy ESG policies where, I love the fact that our current administration is going to OPEC and going to Saudi Arabia and trying to convince them that, hey, don't do this right now, especially during an election. We'll give you whatever you fucking want under the table, right? You know that they're saying that. And you know why Saudi gave them the finger? Because, I mean, look at something as simple as the LIV tour. I mean, the LIV tour, the Saudis are the biggest funders of, and this is a big part of it. I think it's a big part of it. It would be a big part for me if I was president of a country. They're like the biggest funding operation, Saudi Arabia's, of the women's tour. But nobody says anything about that. But now, all of a sudden, you have this political agenda and all this lobbying by the PGA and this whole agenda, and all you see in the media is, these guys, human rights, and they're killing their own people. How the hell could you do that? All these golfers. And we have this, narrative that we're shitting on them. We're shitting on their whole country, saying that, this is, and now you want to go there and pretend you're friends with them? I mean, I know politics is politics, but come on, man. I mean, now you need us because the Saudis don't need us. They don't need us. They're a major producer, just like Russia doesn't.
Do you think the message is they control the oil markets? What do you think the message is they're sending?
The message, they don't need us. I mean, they're sending the message that, hey, I don't care what you do in strategic oil reserve, but right now we want prices higher, and we can make prices go higher, and they're going to make prices go higher. So if you think like gasoline prices are cool now and everything's great, and go into the election, you're going to feel a little bit better, and hopefully they'll get a couple more votes that way. Again, every president has done this, going into an election year, not to this extent. But now, to really go to the Saudis and ask them for a favor is crazy. But look after the election at what's going to happen. I mean, if you're looking at 1 million barrels per day, that's like removing the Bakken. I visited the Bakken. It's a massive oil producer. I think it's a third largest behind Permian and Eagle Ford. It's Permian and then Eagle Ford, and then you have the Bakken, which is now producing, a little over 1 million barrels per day. It's removing the entire Bakken. That's how much is going to, just from the U.S., right? When you remove that, when you stop adding that million to the market. And now you're looking at the production cuts from OPEC. I mean, it's significant. It is. It's significant. If you don't think it's significant, this is why gasoline prices went from $5 to $3.50. It's significant. Where do you think they're going to go after this? So, if you're looking at oil companies right now, it's, again, Exxon produces 3% of the world's production. I mean, you're looking at a U.S. production, a cut of 8%, 8.5% right now. That's what a billion barrels a day does with 12 million of production a day that we have in the U.S. It's significant. These are big numbers, guys. 8% might not sound like it's a big deal. So I put it in terms of margins where, consumer staples, their net margin is like 6%. Pre-COVID, energy margins were 4%. They're higher now because oil prices are high. But pre-COVID, I'm talking about the last 5 years, not just like, during COVID when, the shit hit the fan. I'm talking about, so that's a market like previous 5 years is where oil should be. That's how big and significant this is. And some of the smartest people around, Cuppy's one of them that we have on. He's been a big bull on oil for a very, very long time.
I need to get him back.
I need to get him back.
Chris McIntosh, too. He's
and Chris McIntosh. But, and those guys, again, I wasn't crazy about the oil trade back then. Those guys were very early buying $100 calls on oil when oil was like at $15, $20 and going crazy during COVID. But, it looks like oil prices have no place else to go but high, and those margins are going to get better and better for oil companies. We're going to have to produce more. You're seeing ESG regulations. People know they're full of shit now. We don't need full, 100. It can't be black or white. I mean, seriously, it can't be black or white in this industry. And that's what it is right now. It's black and white when it comes to to ESG. It's, we got to go totally off fossil fuels or that's it, everyone's going to die. And yet we're promoting other places to produce more oil. So if you really care about the environment, let's produce it here.
Nah, nobody cares about the environment.
Right? I mean, no one wants to
Here's what gets me.
It's just crazy.
Here's what I'm trying to work backwards on. And you've talked about this in the past, like, hey, when you're bullish on something, try to read the other side. And so send your thoughts, Daniel@KerseyResearch.com. Outside of a global depression, because you have a lot of things going, you have the strategic reserve release, you have quote unquote our administrative saying how many leases and we should drill more when it benefits them. However, you don't even have the full sanctions taking place yet. So forget the best line that's quoted all the time from what is it? Not Lord of the Rings, but Game of Thrones, that winter is coming. Mm-hmm. So winter is coming, which is going to put Europe in a terrible situation. They're already talking about next winter being a problem. Frank, we're not even in this winter yet. They're talking about next winter because Europe is still buying a lot of Russian oil to get all their gas and tanks ready for the winter and then hope that winter's not that bad and they can levy it off. It's just absolutely terrible. You also have sanctions in December. We still have the G7, Europe and the United States pushing for capping Russian oil to say, well, we're going to cap Russian oil at a certain price so that people can still buy oil. It doesn't disrupt global oil markets, but it doesn't give Russia the coffers to keep fighting the war in Ukraine. Again, you don't need to be a doctor or a CPA or anybody intelligent to understand that's a stupid idea. Okay, any Joe Schmo can put that together. And the only reason they tell you you're not smart enough to understand it is because they don't want to actually explain the reality of the situation, how simple it is. In December, then they're going to try to take away, I say them, the United States and European Union, is going to try to take away the ability to insure the cargo and shipping of oil and commodities. Well, that doesn't mean it's going to stop it. You have ways around that. They're already doing it. You can transfer oil out at sea, refine it or do something to it, slap a new name. It's like Tommy Boy. Hey, if you want me to take a dump in a box and mark it guaranteed, I will. I got spare time, Frank. Okay? Guaranteed. Because all they know, they sold you a guaranteed piece of... That's the best movie. Anyway. There's just so much going, and that makes me nervous because you have so much bullish signs. What am I missing? And I don't think I'm missing anything. I'm not saying go all in. I'm saying have exposure to it. If you listen to these rants by me and you get tired of them, email me and tell me you have exposure to this sector, and then you can fast forward or ignore me. But until you do, I don't want to hear this, get off oil stuff. All right, let's go, Frank.
Now, there you go. But I mean...
Not used to my rants, are you? See?
Yeah, I like the rant. I do like the rant. So... listen, play politics in your favor, no matter what side you're on. I mean, everyone's going to have their bias of what they believe in and stuff like that, and the media's going to force you to hate the other side like they always do, no matter what. That's why they push, like, a boy's a girl, a girl's a boy right now, right? It's got to be so extreme that it's crazy where you separate people, right? That's what they want. But use it to your advantage as an investor. I mean, are you pissed that they're depleting the strategic oil reserve right now? I don't know. I mean, it's at its lowest level since 1984. Again, that was created a long time ago. I don't know how much oil we need in that, but it is being used for purpose to lower prices, but not because they care about consumers. It's because they want to get elected and they want more power. So in the meantime, while they're doing that, and you're seeing, oil stocks did pull back a little bit. They're still up for the year. They were up a lot more. They pulled back, but oil prices are probably going to go a lot higher from here if you have a 12-month outlook. I don't know where they're going to go immediately, but you have OPEC is supporting, cuts. We're going to be cutting production here, right? It's because we're not going to take any more oil from the streets of dirt. That's going to stop right after November. We all know that. So, it's going to force oil prices to go higher, gasoline prices to go higher. And take a look at that, because it was something interesting that I saw today, Daniel, which from Exxon, and I'm probably going to mess this up, but I saw the first line and I was surprised about a charge that they were taking. I wanted to bring this up, and let me see if I can. So it's probably going to take a minute or two, but I want to go to the briefing. But
yeah, they announced a charge. Probably, I'll take a guess. It's around derivatives and different liquids and things, but they also are going to get a bump somewhere else. So I think it was a net positive.
Here it is.
If I recall.
They disclosed. So I saw that the first part of this, and this is earlier today. So Exxon disclosed a 1.4 to 1.8 billion negative Q3 impact from change in liquid prices. Right. So liquids, just natural gas liquids, that could be whatever, from kerosene, from, just like refined products. It's not necessarily, natural gas, which natural gas prices are higher. They did pull back a little bit. So But they disclosed a 1.8 billion to 2.2 billion positive Q3 impact from a change in gas prices, right? So gas prices were a big deal, the natural gas prices. What's the point of this? Exxon is a full service, upstream, downstream. They do everything, right? So you could get companies that are leveraged more than natural gas right now, and natural gas prices, I mean, they're projecting natural gas prices to fall, the futures are like 50% from here over next year and the year after. I mean, I don't see that happening at all. I can't see that happening, especially with Europe and everything going on there. You know, just, and where prices are in Europe is incredible, to the point where now we have all these LNG facilities that we could, you know, export. And just for the record, guys, when I was researching LNG companies and Cheniere Energy, these were supposed to be import companies, not export companies. They were supposed to be made to import natural gas. And then once we found shale technology and how much natural gas we had, which I remember Apache CEO, and this is about 2011, 2012, I went to a conference and he goes, we have more natural gas than we know what to do with. He goes, and it's true, because that's why they were burning it for free, right? Because it's a byproduct of oil. They'll burn it for free. So we have tons of natural gas here, and the whole entire world needs it. And man, prices are skyrocketing. So instead of just saying, oh, I want an oil company, well, oil prices hold up. But there's also companies that really specialize in natural gas liquids that go into, you know, just so many other products and chemical products and things. But if you can get a pure play on natural gas, and that's, you know, the whatever, you know, the Apaches, the Chesapeake, I mean, that's where you could really see prices, you know, skyrocket, especially as, you know, gasoline prices are going to go a lot higher. But it's not only oil companies, and yes, you know, again, you have all these byproducts, and they could break it down, and they actually create a system where they'll take the liquids, natural gas liquids, hopefully I'm not getting complicated here, and they'll take the oil price and natural gas price and combine it and say this is how many barrels of oil is the equivalent, right? Barrel of oil is equivalent. But there's a big difference between those three markets, as you could see. I mean, you don't see it often when ExxonMobil, it's a $1.5 billion negative from the change in liquid prices. That's natural gas liquids. But yet you're looking at a $2 billion positive. And this is just one quarter, Q3. This is just one quarter. Those are big numbers, but you could really dig down, and this is what we do. It's not just, hey, buy Exxon, buy Chevron. Yeah, but you know what? There's companies inside this industry that are going to specialize, whatever, if they're more of a natural gas play or more growth into one particular industry inside of oil. Instead of getting a 30% pop, you're going to get a 200% pop. And that's why it's important to really do the research behind this. It's not just, oh, oil's going higher. Well, natural gas prices are probably going to go a lot higher than that. So it is interesting. I know there's a trend that you've been on a long time. You've actually had recommendations for us, Daniel, in the oil sector that have done very, very well. So, and I know you're still bullish on this sector. Where do you think oil's going now?
Yeah, Exxon's doing good in Dollar Stock Club. I did stop out of VNOM. The timing couldn't have been worse on that, so I'm sorry about that. That sucks.
Yeah, it's a lot higher now, right?
One last, final thought. I'm terrible at price targets. I just think it's going to. I just think oil is going to be above $80 a barrel for a long time, and I think it's going to be in the hundreds, triple digits. I want to say one final thought. Imagine being ExxonMobil and everybody in oil or energy, and you're going to have amazing results again. Your previous quarter was awesome. Yes, oil prices are down 30% from their peak. You're not ExxonMobil. You don't put out releases like this and start warning of another positive quarter without being nervous. And you only do that because of politics. Expect them to be brought in front of a committee again soon, railed against, but all this is going to be this is just front running the show of, hey, when we announce, and you have briefing up, I don't know when Exxon reports their next earnings, but they're probably going to be really, really damn good, and that's why you get out in front of it. Imagine being so good at something and creating so much money for you and your shareholders that you have to be nervous about the government entity over you. That's where we are in the energy sector.
Yeah, it's about 3 weeks from now, so October 28th earnings. Okay. This earnings season is going to be crazy, but I could picture the oil company.
Yeah, and oil's down, but they're still going to be doing great. Yeah, and maybe I'm wrong, so we'll see this, but you don't get out in front of this unless you know you're going to have good results.
Yeah, I mean, all the shit with the Fed, too. I know you're seeing, depressionary conditions everywhere, and usually oil prices go down, but you are going to see China come out pretty much in a week or two right before the election and say, we're no longer going to have a zero COVID policy, and that's going to be good for oil and demand. You're seeing India on fire right now, doing very, very well. So, the major countries are doing well. They need oil. I just, this is one set of this is one sector that's actually going to come out with earnings and maybe raise their earnings or their expectations or be able to provide guidance compared to every other company, which it's just a coin flip right now. I don't know what they're going to say for guidance. It's going to be funny. You're going to see if companies are going to be aggressive on the earnings call. If they are, you're better off shorting those companies because this is not a time to be aggressive because the Fed continues to raise rates like they're promising to do. We're going to get a high CPI number. We just got a terrible jobs number in terms of showing that inflation is not really slowing down in the gauges that they look at. Look out. look out. So it will be interesting. And as always, we'll report back to you guys soon. But Dan, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Another great Wednesday. Cheers.
All right. If someone wants to email you about all your stuff about hating Elon Musk and political stuff and everything.
I don't hate anybody. Don't have hate in your heart. Daniel at CruiserResearch.com. I'm telling you, he's winning me over.
I gotta give it. You hate me sometimes, but
well, that's different. We work together.
I'm gonna make you say Beetlejuice 3 times. You gotta go to Beetlejuice, right? I tell you gotta go. You'll laugh. You go to YouTube page, and that's not a plug to go to YouTube page. If you do, you'll laugh.
Hey,
I actually
are you colorblind?
Oh yes.
Okay, because I don't have a black and white checkered shirt.
What color is it?
Green.
That does not look green.
I wasn't going to call you out on that. But
that does not look green, but I am a little colorblind.
Yeah, it is.
That looks like, well, you know what's good? It looks really black and white on our thing right here, which is cool. So we'll see. So you can make fun of it.
Hey, happy early Halloween, everybody.
Yeah, happy early Halloween. Anyway, all right, Dan, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it, guys. Questions, comments, email Daniel or email me at frankcruiserresearch.com. Okay, really appreciate all your support. Love to hear from you. And if you're part of Frankly Speaking and you're subscribed to any of our products, I will see you in a couple days. Hey, bye.